Hello everyone, thank you for visiting us at Tiger. Today we're going to continue where we left for writing an app store in React. So let's look at the mockup. On the left side, it's the one we're supposed to implement. On the right side is what we need to think through before we building up the web UI. Similarly, for the detailed page, we need to think about that. The text breakdown is we have a main layout and have a header, a content, a div view, and then the data will be provided, which have following attributes: title, Apple ID, developer, intro, score, thumbnail URL, top 5 app, and the number of recommendations. Let's clone this repository here into our local. Okay, so let's see the file structure. Have code, screenshots, so on and so forth. Okay, so we're at this directory of React Sport Code App Store. Let's look at the README. So in this tutorial, we're going to need Webpack for our building tools, and we're going to need a skeleton as our CSS framework. So let's install those. It's going to take a little bit while. So in the meantime, I'm going to talk about why I'm choosing skeleton over Bootstrap or Foundation. So skeleton is roughly around 400 lines of code, only using CSS files. There is no additional JavaScript files required. And let's look at the samples. It's actually very semantic and it is easy to understand. And if you have any questions, you can actually look over the source code to see what's going on. So let's actually go to the websites. It's just like that. There are only gonna be roughly 400 lines. So if we have any issues, we can always refer to the CSS to figure out what's going on. Okay, now let's see if the npm is being installed. Perfect. So now it's being installed. Let's see what else we need to install. Okay. On the app to see the results. So this is URL we need to remember. Now let's see the web page. It is very simple and has a UI only. It has a top charts and the list of items, title, rating, a URL picture, and a get button. Now let's click on get. We'll show the detail view. Similarly, an icon and title, the developer information, the rating system, and also recommended apps, and another description. Without further ado, let's look into the code and see what's going on. Here is the code. Let's see the index.html. It's a very basic HTML file structure. It has a title, some metadata, and a link to the CSS and the fonts and favicon. We're using a bundle.js. So let's see where does the bundle.js come from. It's come from this webpack.config.js. As you can see on the line 6, the file name is bundle.js. So when we run the code, let me pause that for a second. We run this code webpack-dev-server progress colors. It will execute this webpack configuration and it will output all our files from main.js as our entry point and bundle them as bundle.js, which will be used in this right here. Okay, so now let's see what this main.js is. Main.js is used main layout. And now let's see what main layout is. So before I talk about what the main layout does in the code's perspective, let's actually see the mockup again. So let's look at here. Now we have a top charts, and we have a list of content view, and have a get method. Then when we click on get, will redirect us to the more detailed view. Then we click on this go back button, redirect to the top charts. So as I explained along the way, now we realized these top charts and the back button can be abstract as a header file, which has a less than sign as a go back button. It's just not visible if it's the top chart shows. If we click on get, the top chart is hidden, and now the lesson bar is shown. So let's look at this header file. As you can see here, it has an indicator, a boolean value is header text. If this is true, we're going to show top charts. If it's not, we're going to show this less than or this go back button for the header. Now let's look at the top chart again. So in this top chart, we have a list of views. Let's go back to the code and see what the list of view is. We have this content list view, and we have a max number as 9. And when this map function is executed, we'll show 10 items because starting from 0. And then we're going to render this content list cell view for 10 times. Now let's look at what the content list cell view is. This content list cells view is getting all those parameters. This is just a sample data, at least here. It takes the data, it takes the format from Apple ID, intro, score, thumbnail, title, so on and so forth, and render them as individual list view. In this case, it will just be this part. Let's click on this button to see the content detail view look like. It's an icon, title, introduction, a rating system, and recommended apps, description, and the detail. Now if we look at the code, this content detail view, we'll see the one-to-one correspondence, thumbnail, title, developer, rating, and introduction and similar items. So now, after we build up all of the smaller components, let's see how they work together to build a bigger component. Now we need to go back to the main layout.js to see how they work together. So inside this constructor, it's going to set up the initial state, the data. This data is taken from this JSON file, and the 2 more methods, which we'll talk about later. In this render method, it's going to show we're going to have a header, and it depends on this boolean value of its header text, is going to show if it's a top charts or go back button. And then in its detail view, we're going to show the content detail view or the content list view. So let's look at this content detail view. This content detail view will render all those title icons based on this detailed data. And this content list view will show all the lists based from this data we passed in. Then there is a handler, if we click on go back button, which will call change to detail view. And this change to detail view tell them, now this header text is not going to show. Let's show the detailed data view. Okay, so now we're in the detail view. So how are we going back to the list view? Let's look at the line 32 to line 38. So where this being invoked is from this header. Once we're in the stage, the header has a less than button. Then when we click on this button, we'll call change to list view. Then, and inside this change list view, we'll reset the state is header text, will change to true, is detail view to be false. Let's go back to the mockup again. We have a top charts and a get. Once we click on get, we'll redirect to that particular view and show its detail view. If we click back button, we'll show all of them again. For example, let's click on this. We'll show all the parts. It will show all its detail view. If I click go back button, we'll show top charts again. This task is straightforward, and I hope you understand how React works. Thinking from bigger component into smaller component, from smaller component, and then assemble back the bigger component. I know this course is condensed, and if you have any questions, please contact us at Big Tiger. Thank you.